It's the most wonderful time of the year as we're bringing you yet another edition of UC Sports. Alongside Molly Butremovic, I'm Julia Gintof, and while I don't love these colder temperatures, winter season means basketball season, Molly, and these teams are off to a strong start.
That's right. Coming up, UConn men's and women's basketball impress in their Gamble debuts, Husky hockey continues on its hot streak, and field hockey falls short in conference play. All that and more as UC Sports starts right now.
After more than a year and a half, students and Husky fans alike gathered in the basketball capital of the world for a sold-out game on Tuesday against the Central Connecticut Blue Devils. The Huskies entered their season ranked at 24th in the AP poll and asserted their dominance, easily running away with it in a 99-48 first win. Many familiar faces returned to the lineup, including Isaiah Whaley and Tyler Pauley, who each showcased their specialties. Sophomore athletic guard Andre Jackson got the start in Book Knight's old spot, but it was ultimately big man Adama Sanogo, an all-Big East second-team pick, who would take over in this one. His presence was no match for Central as he clocked in an easy 20-piece. Fan favorite Akuka Cook seemed to finally be back in full form, as the Dan Hurley defense was also evident in this one. The Huskies forced 29 turnovers and had 9 blocks throughout the contest, and while this definitely won't be the toughest team UConn faces, it sure is setting the tone for an exciting season to come. The Huskies will face Coppin State at the XL Center on Saturday.
The UConn women's basketball team started their season off strong with a 111-47 exhibition victory over Fort Hays State. This game was the perfect opportunity for the freshmen to get their feet wet, and they definitely made the most of their debut. AZ Fudd and Caroline Ducharme both finished in double figures and got the fans excited for what's in store this season as well as future seasons. Another new face, transfer Dorka Juhas, impressed not only Husky fans but Coach Gino as well. During the post-game press conference, he spoke about Dorka's ability to do it all. He said, quote, "She competes and she's skilled in the lane. She's really long and can get the ball in the rim a lot of different ways. It doesn't take her much. She also plays good defense. She's got an aggressiveness about her and her footwork is pretty good." This is arguably one of the most highly anticipated UConn teams we have seen in a while, and the fact that 9 UConn players saw meaningful minutes within the first 3.5 quarters tells fans that we are in for one exciting season. The Huskies are currently ranked as the number 2 team in the NCAA, but with this determined and enthusiastic group, there's no doubt that the number 1 spot will be in their future. The women will next play Arkansas on November 14th at 1 p.m. at the XL Center. The Huskies have been making big moves off the court as well. Here's Bree with an update of recent NIL deals.
As many of us know, college athletes are now allowed to profit off their own name, image, and likeness, and this will definitely change the landscape of college sports, especially here at UConn. First, we have our very own Paige Beckers, who is projected to make $1 million a year, and as of November 10th, she announced her first partnership with StockX, a shoe and clothing marketplace. This multi-year partnership is going to be focused on equity and authenticity, and she will be focused in campaigns centered around women's sports and basketball. Then there's some other UConn women's basketball players who have deals in the work. First, we have AZ Fudd, who has been racking up the partnerships. As we know, she's partnered with Chipotle for their Real Food, Real Athletes campaign, as well as recently doing a campaign with TikTok, and now is partnered with BioSteel, a sports drink company. Everyone seems to be getting engaged now, as Kristen Williams and Caroline Ducharme have recently signed agents. The Huskies even have some local sponsors, as Olivia Nelson-Ododa has partnered up with Blaze in Stores and Sailor Poffenbarger with the Buckland Hills Mall. That's all for NIL deals so far, but there's definitely going to be a lot more in the works as the basketball season is just beginning. I'm Bree Mon, UCTV Sports. Back to you, Molly.
UConn field hockey experienced a roller coaster of emotions this weekend. The team was off to a good start after defeating number 15 Old Dominion 2-1 in the semifinals of the Big East tournament. Spirits were high heading into the final against number 8 ranked Liberty, but after a hard-fought battle, the Huskies fell short and lost 1-0. This is the first time in a decade the Huskies have fallen short of a Big East trophy, but the team left all they had on the field and should be extremely proud of their efforts this season.
Currently on a 5-game winning streak, Husky volleyball is rolling, to say the least. A consistent team effort has allowed them to stay on top, sweeping both Georgetown and Villanova at home this past week. They're currently sitting at 3rd in the Big East rankings. Kaylee Parker has been a dominant force this whole season, but especially in these past 2 games, she earned Big East Conference Player of the Week. And with a little over a week left of conference play, Spencer Murray had the chance to interview head coach Ellen Herman-Kimball on the team's mindset as they approach tournament season.
I think just the mentality from the beginning to where we are now is just continuing to get better every single week. Obviously the teams that are most consistent and the ones that show up every single day, that expectation is gonna achieve, the greatness piece of getting better every single week. I think for us, like we've talked about before, is like we really emphasize just going one game at a time. The parity in the Big East is quite slim, so really making sure, obviously, as we love in sports, like anybody can beat anybody on any given day. Just making sure we're taking one game at a time. But we're coming here to a close, and just hopefully we finish out on.
Although the men's soccer season came to a close last week, the future is bright for this Husky squad. Midfielder Mateo Levesque was named Big East Freshman of the Year in his standout first season. Levesque started 14 of 16 games and had 3 goals and 6 assists on the year. The 11-1 UConn women's hockey team continues to command their spot in the conference. They won a home-and-home this weekend against a tough Terrier squad out of Boston University. Natalie Snodgrass was a force once again, scoring the only goal of the first game. Taylor Wabick was also named Hockey East Player of the Week. They're sitting at number 2 in Hockey East standings, but the true test will come next Saturday as they face one of the best teams in the nation at Northeastern University. Until then, though, they'll face off in a 2-game series this weekend here at home against Maine.
The men's hockey team headed up to the University of Maine this weekend for a 2-game series. The Huskies took both games, winning the first one 4-3 and the second one 3-2. The team returned to Connecticut with an overall record of 6-3 and will go on to play Boston College on November 12th at 7 p.m. at the XL Center. It's a big week for UConn football as the boys head down to South Carolina to face the 6-3 Clemson Tigers. Clemson is unranked and has struggled more than they have in past years, so are we in for an upset? Tune in on Saturday at noon to find out.
Welcome to this week's edition of Husky High Five, where we count down the top 5 plays of this week in Husky sports. Alright, starting us off at number 5, our women's hockey team is off to the best start in program history. They're 11-1, ranked top 10 in the country, and it's even easier when you have someone like Morgan Wabick delivering a screamer like this. Wow, you could have ripped a hole in the net with that type of power. UConn would go on and win against Boston University 2-1 in this one. Next up, we got some field hockey action, semifinals of the Big East tournament. In the dying seconds, Clay Donaworth sends an absolute rocket and punches the Huskies' ticket to the Big East final. Incredible moment for her and Husky Nation. Love to see it on our home turf. All right, getting into the top 3 for this week, UConn women's basketball doing UConn women's basketball things. First game of the season, Nika Mule doing work on both ends of the floor. The quick steal followed by an easy 2. The women, as always, looking like a force to be reckoned with this upcoming season. Speaking of UConn basketball, the men were back in action as well, and Isaiah Whaley sending that ball all the way back to CCSU. That is a man who means business. And finally, that number 1 spot for this week, Adama Sanogo getting the steal and the big man going the distance, throwing it down for the UConn crowd. Career high points for him with a big UConn win. It does not get much better being a Husky. That's all for this week's edition of the Husky High Five. It was a fantastic week in Husky sports. I'm Colin McCarroll, and join us next week where we continue to count down the best plays in UConn athletics.
Wow, do we have a week in store? If you don't want to miss out on all the action, make sure to follow us on UCTV Channel 14 to stay updated on all UConn sporting events, basketball, and beyond.
We are also now on TikTok. Follow us at UCTV Sports for more creative content and interview with athletes. For Julia Gintof and the rest of the crew in the studio, I'm Molly Butremovic, and we'll see you next week on UC Sports.